amazing guests that come in. So please make sure you tune in, check the site as far as information, and you'll be glad you did. Thank you so much for this evening. And remember, breathe, be spiritual, find your way. Thanks again. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Be enchanted and delighted. Connect each week here on WNN for the Hallie Elise Show. Also on Facebook and at HallieElise.com. Thanks for tuning in. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Bob, did you see Hallie Elise in the paper?
Who?
The empowerment psychic, Hallie Elise. They did a 2-page write-up. The columnist was enthralled. Hallie went right to an issue that she was dealing with. I'm looking at HallieElise.com right now.
What are you thinking? Should we schedule an appointment?
Matter of fact, yes. You have issues with Sue and me, my business. Take a look at her background. It's impressive, and she has decades of experience.
I want to put it on my iPad. What's her info?
Empowerment Psychic Hallie Elise. HallieElise.com. 561-755-2166.
Spell it.
HallieElise.com.
So it's HallieElise.com and 561-755-2166, right?
561-755-2166. That's it.
Times are tough, and right now those in the commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv. Times are tough, and right now those in the commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv understands how important advertisement is and is proud to express that it's truly the only plugged-in internet television production company on the market. Amp2.tv live streams all their shows across all the major selling markets in the U.S. and abroad. Call them at 866-224-5422. The AmpSquare.tv library allows productions to be seen over and over again, making commercial platforms more usable. Call 866-224-5422. Toll free 866-224-5422. Amp2.tv, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV.
Talk 1470 WWNN Pompano Beach, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Youthful Savings creates and delivers innovative financial education products through a virtuous approach in order to disrupt the cycle of poverty. We provide affordable college planning solutions through our Financial Freedom web application and program, youth financial education and entrepreneurship training through our My Own Business Challenge curriculum and program, and group youth programs that teach entrepreneurship and financial education. 10 cents of every dollar earned is reinvested into the communities saved through the Youth College Scholarships. For more information, please go to www.youthfulsavings.com. Email at info@youthfulsavings.com or call 646-504-7164. CPA for the People provides CPA services and business consulting for innovative creators. Collaborative, personal, affordable. We specialize in tax consulting, business consulting, financial statement compilation, and personal finance. For more information, please go to www.cpaforthepeople.com or call at area code 630-244-7888. 693. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Good morning. I'm Raquel the Bell on the one and only WWNN 1470. Today in the studio, we have Tracy from We Are the People. You can join her every Monday night from 7 to 7:30 p.m. on her website, wearethepeople.tv. Tracy tackles the student loan dilemma and offers viable options. And now, here's Tracy.
Well, no, this is not Tracy, as you can see. This is Jorge. Wrong tape. This is live, folks, so this is the beauty of this. This is live, and just a little mistake. I'm the co-host of the program, if you are with us on a regular basis. My name is Jorge Stomba, and I'm the co-host and co-producer of We Are the People, Students for Liberty. This edition is the October 6, 2014 edition of our program. We're coming to you live from WWNN Studios in Boca Raton, Florida. Those of you, we do have a national audience. Remember, if you're new, this is South Florida, Palm Beach, Broward County, and Miami-Dade comprises South Florida. Very, very important political zone in our country. We decide a lot of elections, and we're very privileged talking about this particular region of the country to have a congressman who we're very proud to have here, and we really appreciate his presence here in our program. This program, as you know, is for We Are the People, Students for Liberty. We get involved in education, but we try to inform people what's going on in our country. We've had various guests here, and we, as I say it from the 70s, we tell it like it is. I'm a Democrat. I don't have any problem admitting that. The congressman in this case is a Democrat. We've had Republicans, because in this country we need to get together. We need to get our action and our acts together. We need to act as Americans. So I am proud because he is a congressman, and I'm proud because he's going to share with us his thoughts, and we're going to have a question and answer with Congressman Ted Deutsch. Congressman, welcome to our program.
Thanks. It's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Okay, let's get to work. We don't have a lot of time. These programs fly. It's 30 minutes. By the way, no call in tonight because of the special guest. There'll be no calls coming in, so we're going to go straight through. No commercials. So we're going to make less money, but this is important. Congressman, one of the things that really I'm very concerned, as millions of Americans are. There are many problems that we confront in our country, that this country confronts. We as people, and you as a Congress and government. The issues are endless. Unfortunately, we can't tackle them all together. So I have one issue that really concerns me, and that is the minimum wage issue. We're down to realistic terms and dollars to 1968 levels with our $7.53 federal minimum wage. In Florida, we're a little bit better off at $7.93. I know that you've introduced through a discharge petition the HR 1010, and I would like for you to get involved with that issue and explain to us what you're trying to do and what that entails. And maybe just very briefly, we're a little bit more knowledgeable than the average person, but we want them to get knowledgeable so that they know exactly what's going on, what a discharge petition is.
Well, sure. I appreciate it. Well, let me start with that. A discharge petition is a step that members of the House of Representatives can take to force a bill to be debated on the House floor, to bring it up for debate so that we can debate it, so that we can vote on it. There's a discharge petition to bring forth and increase the minimum wage. We shouldn't have to do it that way. Speaker of the House should be willing to give us the opportunity to debate a bill, to give us the opportunity to point out something that I think everyone in this country would agree that it's not right that in the United States of America somebody could work full time and find themselves not just struggling but living in poverty, below the poverty line. That's the case that we have. There are too many examples of situations all around the country where that's the case, and add to that the fact that because of the way that the minimum wage has not increased, because it hasn't even kept up with inflation, there are minimum wage workers who are working hard, who are receiving government benefits that they qualify for. So it's in essence a huge subsidy of private industry that employs low-wage people, that doesn't pay them a minimum wage that allows them to get by, and that it's supplemented with taxpayer dollars. People ought to be able to earn a minimum wage that they can live on. That's what we're trying to do with that bill.
Now, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. If in your bill, the bill you presented, does the 1010, you're asking for a 1010 minimum wage,
right?
Does that go into effect immediately, or it goes in progressive steps?
Well, we need to put that 1010 into place now so that we can simply catch up. That again, if we had done nothing, you talked about the 30 years. If we had simply allowed the minimum wage to keep up with inflation, it would be well over $10, closer to $11 an hour now. It's just really hard for so many people. We spent all this time talking about jobs and improving the economy and making things, causing the economy to grow. Well, the best thing that we could do is to give working people who work hard the opportunity to work hard and actually have enough money to get by, respect the work that they do, give them even a little more dignity in the work that they have.
What is the status of this discharge petition you have presented?
We don't have enough signatures yet. I don't know I don't recall what the total is at present, but we continue to work. We urge people to call their members of Congress to make sure that they've signed the discharge petition to bring the bill to the floor. People are frustrated with Congress because Congress doesn't get things done. Well, the main reason things aren't getting done in Congress is because the Speaker doesn't give us the opportunity to move forward on the important legislation that will benefit the American people. This is one case where people can actually get involved and push their members to just simply bring that bill up so that we have a chance to debate it and vote on it.
Certainly. I always tell the people on this program, and you heard a congressman say it, folks, you've heard me time and time again, Rick, Tracy, please get involved. Call your congressman. We have emails nowadays. It's so simple. Petitions are all over the place with organizations that I belong, as you know, with Move On, Daily Cause, Credo. We have so many great organizations. You don't have to pay a penny. They make the petitions for you. All you have to do is take 15 seconds and they do the work for you. Why this type of petition does not have 1 million signers, I don't know. I've said it here before.
I'd also tell you, it matters. People think that they often think it doesn't matter. It matters when people call into their members of Congress. I don't pick up every call. We get thousands of them. But someone in my office does.
But they're monitored,
and
correct?
we track every single one, and people always tell me, here's what people are calling in about. And it's one thing to call in and express an opinion, which is important. It's something else entirely for people to call in and put you on record. Does the congressman support the discharge petition to bring the minimum wage bill to the floor of the House? Do they believe that we should have an opportunity to debate this? Or do they want to put their head in the sands and pretend that it's okay in the United States of America for people to work full-time and not be able to get by?
Fantastic. Guys, don't take my word. Like I said a lot of times, you heard it straight from the horse's mouth, if I can use that saying. You heard it from a congressman, how it works. It's not a lie. It's not a propaganda. Your voice, your actions count. So you heard it, and I'm very glad that we had somebody in Congress state what we've been stating here many, many a times. Please take some action for things that you need done. Unless you don't want it done, we do have a responsibility also, other than the Congress and the president. Now I'm going to give the opportunity now to our co-host here today, Rick Struhl, to present his question.
Well, Jorge, I did call my congressman. He's here tonight on the show with us. And in fact, he's also Tracy's congressman. We both live in the district, in District 21.
I'm sorry, Congressman. Can you state what your district,
Sure.
what entails?
Sure.
Geographically?
Sure. I represent the 21st district in Florida, which includes Palm Beach and Broward County, Wellington, Boynton Beach, Delray Beach, Boca Raton, Parkland, Coral Springs, Margate, Coconut Creek, and Deerfield. So it's the southern part of Palm Beach County, the northern part of Broward
Very
County.
important geopolitical areas in our state and in our region. Okay, Rick.
As you know, the focus, the impetus for this show is in the area of student loans and the student loan debt crisis. We have now over $1 trillion in student loan debt that is out there. And especially in the economy, the way the economy has been, it's been very difficult for people to make any progress on paying their debts. Both Tracy and I have gone through this. I actually paid off one set of student loan debts, and now years later I'm working on another set of student loan debts. It's a misnomer for me to state that I'm working on them because I can't afford to do that. We're concerned about the changes that were made, the fact that students who were borrowers have become second-class citizens. They're not allowed to discharge their debts in bankruptcy. They don't have protections that other people in the stream of commerce do in the United States, and they're basically enslaved. How do we deal with this situation?
Well, you're right to bring it up. It's a really important issue. I can tell you, it took me years and years to pay off my student loans. So I know what that's like. But it's gotten so much worse in recent years, and it's gotten worse for a number of reasons. First of all, college costs have tripled over the past 30 years, but wages are essentially flat. So it's more expensive to go to college. One of the reasons college costs have gone up so much is because state governments have walked away in many instances, like in Florida, from their responsibility to really ensure that college is accessible and affordable for their citizens. So college costs have gone up, wages are flat, and so you now have this point where almost 3/4 of all college seniors have debt. On average, they're carrying $30,000 in debt. And first, and you raise the right points. First, you have to look at the interest rate that they're carrying on these loans. I mean, the fact is, it was a struggle. Imagine last year in Congress, it was a struggle just to take action to prevent the interest rates on student loans from doubling. And we did it in the Bipartisan Student Loan Certainty Act. But that's now for new loans, which are a little less than 5%. For people who are carrying loans at more than twice that rate, they're unable to refinance. Because they can't refinance, two things happen. One, they have less money because they're paying more in interest, number one. And number two, they wind up taking on even more debt, and this is what the research shows. So it makes the situation even worse. And then add to that the special protection afforded student loans, the lenders that you can't, as you said, it can't be discharged in bankruptcy. So there need to be changes, and fortunately, there are some really positive developments. Senator Warren has a bill, the Emergency Loan Refinancing Act, which there's a House version as well, which would permit the refinancing of student loans to bring those rates down. That would be a really important step forward. The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, the CFPB, is also looking at the actions taken by both colleges and student lenders, trying to work on behalf of consumers to help give them a fair break. But more than anything else, there needs to be, I think, a recognition that until we address this, and it is really a crisis, $1.2 trillion in student loan debt. That's more than credit card debt. It's more than any debt except mortgage loans. Mm-hmm. And it's only going up, and we allow people to refinance to lower rates in other areas. They ought to be able, students and graduates ought to be able to refinance to lower rates here. That'll mean more money in their pockets, more of an opportunity not just to take care of their families, but to make investments in houses, help the economy. We need to act on this.
Congressman, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
and I wanted to follow up. Why is it that you feel that members of Congress, knowing that education is one of the vital ingredients of a society progressing, why is it that we have so many people in Congress that don't see the importance and how critical this is? It always has been, and all of a sudden we just ignore education?
Yeah, I think that there are. I think that a lot of my colleagues would tell you that they don't want to get at the big issues, right? They don't want to talk about the fact that costs are so much higher, but wages are stagnant. They don't want to talk about the fact that by keeping these rates on government loans artificially high, let alone the private loans, you wind up having students who help to finance the government, as opposed to taking action to lower their rates and paying for the legislation by implementing the buffer rule, which is something that's fair and I think people would be supportive of. So they don't want to talk about the big issues. They look at the situation and simply say, college is expensive, but people ought to go. As long as they can get loans, they should be able to get loans. And that's how you wind up with $1.2 trillion in debt, the inability to refinance, the inability to discharge in bankruptcy, because people can't discharge in bankruptcy, and because these loans are treated in a way that makes them puts the lenders in such a position where it's almost impossible for them not to be repaid out of wages, out of Social Security even. You've got this situation where the lenders are more than willing to make the loans because they realize how safe it is for them, because there's no risk to them. We need to change this so that consumers, students, so that the borrowers actually have a fair shot.
Correct. Rick, I'm sorry, what is your, if I may ask, I know you said it before, what is it that you owe presently?
I owe probably about $150,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's not going to get paid off at the rate that I can pay. So there needs to be some sort of protection in there, because I was promised when I went for my program that there would be jobs, well-paying jobs. And those jobs didn't exist at the time. And the people that were making the promises knew, or should have known, that they didn't exist and that they weren't going to exist. But I was given blue sky, pie in the sky by and by, as they say. Right?
Yep.
And it seems that the Department of Education, which should be protecting consumers, protecting the borrowers, is in cahoots with the industry. They just, signed another deal with Sallie Mae. Well, Sallie Mae was fined $93+ million for basically robbing borrowers by scamming and by scheming with their repayments and with their schedules.
What is your opinion on that?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the reasons that this issue is so important. I mean, we're now at the point where it's hard enough to have a rational conversation about Social Security these days, which I know you may want to chat some about. But more and more, we're getting to the point where unless we address the student loan crisis, these loans then are carried through one's career right up until people start drawing Social Security. And then you've got Social Security pulling out the money after, despite the fact that they paid in for Social Security all their lives, have them pulling the money out to repay these student loans.
This is just horrible.
And the crisis is going to be dramatically worse unless we get our arms around it now.
Especially at their time of need,
right,
of greatest need.
Right.
Let us go on. This is a subject that really deserves a tremendous amount of coverage, and I think the media has done a horrible job, and that's why programs like this is so important. I wish we could keep on discussing this, perhaps on another different occasion we can, because it is critical to this country. Like I said, a society without a proper education system and incentives cannot progress. We know that. I wanted to go to Social Security, but we won't have enough time. So I have a really, and this is happening right now, and I'm very, very bothered by the fact that we are basically at war. As you know, Congressman, we are, in accordance with all the experts, this is the worst situation this country has encountered with ISIL, or ISIS. I call it ISIL because the president is correct in with the term ISIL. And then we have this thing of Ebola coming on, so we really caught some bad luck here. What bothers me is that Congress has not returned neither Speaker of the House, Boehner, nor Majority Leader, as far as I know, Reid, has in any shape, manner, or form said, let's go back to work. We are in a crisis. Come back. The president hasn't done it, but you know what? Congress has to be responsible for what they're responsible for, excuse the redundancy, and what they're paid for and what the responsibilities are. I think Congress should be right now in Washington dealing with crises that are, again, being redundant, critical to the welfare of this country.
Right. I agree with you. I agree with you. Look, I'm enjoying this. I'm thrilled to sit with you in your studio. I could have done this interview from my office in Washington just as easily. And on both of those issues, there's been a lot of talk about the military action in the Middle East. But on that and Ebola, these are major issues that the country is facing. Congress ought to be debating them now. And on the issue of the military, look, the president's position, and this has been laid out multiple times, is that they can rely on the authorization to use military force from 2001. That legally they don't have to come back to Congress.
Correct.
Now, let's assume they're right. The bigger issue is that Congress needs to assert its authority in these matters, and that's the Speaker of the House, and that's John Boehner, who ought to call us back to Washington to reconvene, to have a full debate about a new authorization to use military force, so that we can debate if we can debate what we're doing, what we're going to permit, what the duration should be, what the limitations are. Most people, as I told Secretary Kerry recently, most people in Congress weren't in Congress in 2001 to vote on that authorization.
That's
anyway.
Great point.
And my constituents want me to be involved in a debate about what's happening now in this situation, how we're going to combat the ISIL threat. And they're right, and we ought to be up there, and then add to that this other layer with Ebola and the implications on our country, and ensuring that we're doing everything that we can. Congress, the Speaker needs to assert the authority that he has, particularly in the area of war and peace, and he's failed to do it, and it's a huge mistake on his part. And here we are. It's a month until the election, and I think more and more, the closer we get to the election, the more people are going to realize that these are steps that we ought to be taking to deal with a real crisis instead of campaigning. That's what we ought to be doing.
What I'm concerned about is that we're at war. We are at war. That's the reality, right? We've got multiple fronts, many things going on here. In point of fact, if you know your history, we may be in the 100 Years' War of this century. Hopefully that's not the case, but if you know your history, it looks a lot like that. But we're not on a war footing. We haven't organized our society to be able to handle and deal with these threats. We've got a porous border with who knows what coming across. We've got threats to allies. We've got threats to key resources. We've got to look at those things and deal with them.
I would, on the border issue, look, there are somehow we've reached this point where once people start talking about the border, somehow that's necessarily a debate about immigration reform, which I support, but it isn't.
No.
In this case, the part of the threat, and you're right, and we don't talk about enough, part of the threat that has caused us to get involved in combating ISIL is the threat here. And when you look at the fact that we're worried about the potential of terrorists who have gone to fight in Syria coming back here, and you add to that a layer of people flying here who have been in the region where Ebola is spreading, these are really crucial issues, and the American people rightly want their government to grapple with them. They're hard, and people tell me all the time how concerned they are, how worried they are about what's going on. I can't tell you that I've got all the answers, but I sure know that my constituents deserve a full debate in Washington just to make sure, just so they can feel confident that people are tackling the issues.
Agreed. It's a must. I want you to have a few minutes, Congressman, to do your closing comments. We really appreciate you being here, and we certainly want you to have the last word.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that, and I just would go back to what we had discussed a little while ago, which is the importance of full participation in our process, in the political process. That means reaching out to members of Congress to tell them what you're thinking, to tell them what you expect of them. That means participating in our democracy. You know, you look at what's going on in Hong Kong with all the people protesting. They just want the ability to have a functioning democracy. We can't take that for granted. We have the opportunity every 2 years in our elections to participate, to shape the direction that the country moves, and too many people choose not to participate at all. If the moment that people decide they're willing to leave that to others, that's when the special interests win. That's when the big money interests win. We can't allow that to happen. People need to be involved.
I couldn't have said it any better. I think, Rick, you agree also. This is what we've been saying on this program, and I'm so glad that we have somebody from Washington put things in a simple manner that we can all understand. There was no double talk. It really has been a pleasure, Congressman.
Thanks.
We hope to have you here again because this is for the good of our country. This is that our people get involved. Otherwise, we lose our democracy. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Please contact your congressman. Please make your voice heard. We are the people. This is our country, and we don't want to lose it, but we will if you don't get involved. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week. Peace.
You have been listening to We Are the People with social advocates Tracy Marks and Jorge Estamba, who every week bring to the light the needs and changes in our current system. Tune in every Monday night at 7 p.m. on wearethepeople.tv and participate in the conversation in the chat room or call 888-565-1470. Tune in next Monday for more information and facts. And Tracy and Jorge remind you to stay aware of your surroundings and challenges at all times.